Well, here are some words or some terms you might have heard before: time and a half and double time. Well, what do they mean? Well, when we talk about people's wages and the money that they earn, these phrases refer to things that we call penalty rates. Okay, and all a penalty rate is, it's not something you've done wrong, it's extra money. It's higher hourly rates that you get for working outside of normal working hours. So some examples might be if you have to work on weekends, on a Saturday or a Sunday, you may get penalty rates or a higher rate of hourly pay. Same if you have to work on a public holiday, or sometimes you can get penalty rates if you actually work overtime, work more hours than you're rostered or normally scheduled to do. So a penalty rate, what do these words mean? Well, time and a half simply means you're getting 1.5 times your ordinary rate. Okay, so it's your normal pay rate plus another 50%. It's times 1.5. And double time is pretty self-explanatory. It's double your hourly rate. So if you're getting double time, you're getting double whatever your normal ordinary rate is. Probably the best way is to have a look at a couple of examples and see how we do the calculations to work these out. So here's an example. Mary's ordinary pay rate is $22 an hour. She gets time and a half if she works Saturdays, or double time for working on Sundays. So in a week where she worked 35 hours during the week, she did 5 hours on Saturday and then an extra 2 hours on Sunday, what would be her pay for the week? Now, I'm strongly going to suggest, before you have a go at these questions, you do up a little table like this one. I'm going to walk you through what's on here because they really help tidy up a lot of all this information and put it in a way that makes sense. So for each of these sections, so her weekday, her Saturday, and her Sunday, we're going to do a separate row on our chart. Now, her ordinary rate is $22, so I'll put that in the first column. Midweek, she works 35 hours, and the modifier is 1. It's normal rate. It's not 1.5, it's not double, it's just her normal rate. Okay, so this is where there's no penalty rates. And to work out the amount of pay that she gets for this section of her work week, we simply multiply those things together. Okay, when I do that, I get an amount of 770. So that's her pay for the 35 hours that she does in midweek. And that's this bit here, right? Monday to Friday, normal 35. Now let's look at Saturday. Well, her ordinary rate hasn't changed. That always stays the same. She did 5 hours on Saturday, but the modifier is 1.5 because it's time and a half. So we're going to multiply that by 1.5. So when I multiply those three numbers together, 22, 5 at 1.5, she gets $165 for the bit she did on Saturday. And then we do one more time, this time for Sunday. So the ordinary rate was 22. That hasn't changed at all. She did 2 hours on the Sunday, and the modifier is 2 because this is the double time. Hopefully you can see this modifier. For a normal rate, it's 1. For time and a half, it's 1.5. For double time, it's 2. Once again, if I multiply those three values together, 22 times 2 times 2, I get 88. Now, to work out her pay for the whole week, all I do is I add up this column. Okay, these three pieces, if I add them all together, I'll get an amount of $1,023. So her pay for the week was $1,023. All right, really helpful to draw up a little table like this when you're doing these kinds of questions and just work on them one at a time, add them all together at the end. So I'm going to get you to pause and copy down the notes and the example that you see on the screen before we move on to some practice questions. So pause now, get this stuff into your workbook, and then we'll have a go at these practice questions. All right, here are your practice questions. There's 3 of them. I would suggest for each one you just draw up, really, it takes a couple of seconds to draw up this little table so that you can lay them out exactly like we did in the previous example. Now, assume Saturdays for these questions are at time and a half penalty rate, and Sundays are at double time. So have a go at each one of those. I'm going to pause right now, give you some time to work on those, and in a moment you can check your solutions on the next screen. All right, and there you go. There are your solutions for those. Now, I've done question 3 I did on the table here for you. It was sort of the longest one of the three, so I did that one for you on the table. The others, we've just calculated them, but hopefully you've drawn up tables for those. So guys, that's an introduction to penalty rates and how we'd work out somebody's wage for a week where they're getting multiple pay rates depending on whether they work on the weekends or not. Good job. Well done.